When I woke up, I caught the male lead right in the middle of drugging the female lead. Getting ready to do his dirty work. If I were just some random bystander, I would have gladly grabbed some popcorn for the free live show. But as luck would have it, I'm her biological father. And I know perfectly well that she's the tragic heroine of this completely messed up angst novel, destined for a miserable end. My ears were ringing, without a second thought. I sprinted like crazy up the stairs. Bang! I violently kicked open the guest room door. Hearing the crash, the boy inside whipped his head around, eyes wide with absolute terror. Who the hell are you? I swept my gaze across the room, instantly locking onto the deathly pale girl on the bed. Shen Youchu's forehead was covered in a cold sweat, her entire body completely limp and helpless. Looking closer, I realized her arm had actually been slashed. A blinding patch of crimson was soaking into the sheets. Hearing the commotion, Shen Youchu weakly forced herself to look over, barely managing to choke out 2 words. Help me, my heart violently clenched. I forcefully shoved that bastard Wang Baden out of my way and rushed over to check on my daughter. Can you hear me, sweetie? Daddy's here, right now. Shen Youchu felt her entire body burning up. Thank God the stinging pain in her arm was barely keeping her conscious. Dad, her vision was already starting to blur. But her subconscious told her that only her dad would call her by that childish nickname. A single tear rolled down her cheek as her trembling fingers grabbed the corner of my shirt. Dad, is that really you? Are you back? Yes, baby, Daddy's back. My voice was incredibly gentle, carrying a soothing, magical warmth. Don't be scared, Daddy's right here. Hearing my words, Shen Youchu instantly calmed down. I used to work in medical research, so I knew a thing or two about medicine. So, I quickly checked her over. Once I made sure it wasn't life-threatening, I finally let out a sigh of relief. I gently helped my daughter up, draped her arm over my shoulder, and got ready to rush her to the hospital. But right at that moment, Wang Baden, who had just been cowering in the corner, suddenly shot to his feet. Trembling, he threw his arms wide open to block my path. You can't take her away. I was so furious I actually almost laughed. I had read the book. I knew he was the true young master, who had been swapped at birth. After returning to his real family, he was unloved by his parents, and he couldn't even get the girl he liked. I'll admit, Wang Baden had a tragic life. But I was the female lead's father now. I am naturally completely on my daughter's side. I couldn't care less about his tragic backstory. Right now, my daughter was clearly the victim here. Why the hell should I pity him? And let him get away with bullying my child? Listen here, mister. You'd better get the facts straight. You were the one trying to assault my daughter. I haven't even settled that score with you yet, and you actually have the guts to block my way? Hearing this, absolute disbelief washed over his face. After returning to the Wang family, he had already dug up everything there was to know about Shen Youchu. He knew her father had mysteriously vanished when she was just 5 years old. This incredibly young and handsome man standing in front of him. How could he possibly be Shen Youchu's father? By the time my words finally registered in his brain, tears of humiliation instantly streamed down Wang Baden's face. He shook his head frantically. No, it's not like that. Meanwhile, I just stood there coldly, holding my daughter. My stance was absolute. I wasn't backing down an inch. I don't give a damn about your excuses. You hurt my daughter, and that is an undeniable fact. Get out of my way right now. Or I swear, things are gonna get ugly. Even though Wang Baden was absolutely terrified, he gritted his teeth and refused to move. His position in the Wang family was already hanging by a thread. If this blew up, the Wang family would never let him off the hook. It would have been one thing if he had actually managed to force himself on her and seal the deal. But he failed, and worse, he was caught red-handed. To give the Shen family an explanation, the Wangs would absolutely throw him to the wolves. The sheer thought of it made Wang Baden violently shudder. Yet, he still blocked the doorway. Just as my patience ran completely dry, and I was about to get physical, a chaotic rush of footsteps echoed from the hallway. What the hell is going on here? Shen Dai doesn't look so good. Do you think she was drugged? And who's that guy holding her? Look, the Wang family's real son is standing right there. Judging by the looks of it, don't tell me he tried to force himself on her, and this guy busted in and stopped him? It's highly likely. Everyone knows that kid has been obsessed with Shen Dai for 2 years. Yeah, stalking her endlessly. Hearing these whispers, Wang Baden, who had been blocking the way, instantly turned deathly pale. His hands and legs were visibly trembling. Under the harsh glare of the crowd, he looked like he was about to collapse. Right at that moment, Mr. and Mrs. Wang, along with their fake son, Wang Zhijiang, came rushing to the scene. The second he saw my face, Mr. Wang's expression completely dropped. Shen Chen, is that you? The father's name was Wang Gechang. He was my college roommate. Back in the day, we were actually really tight. But I couldn't care less about him right now. Feeling the terrifying, burning heat radiating from my daughter, the cold rage in my eyes could have frozen hell over. Get out of the way. Seeing the pure murder in my eyes, Wang Gechang immediately locked his gaze onto Wang Baden, who was shivering in the corner. Calculating glint flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand and viciously slapped Wang Baden across the face. You worthless countryside trash. Have you no shame? Apologize to Shen Dai this instant. Wang Baden didn't dare say a word. He just clutched his cheek, staring at the floor and sobbing uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Wang Jijiang, seeing the woman he desired almost assaulted, had a quick flash of vile jealousy in his eyes, but he hid it perfectly. Dad, my brother just really likes Sister Youchu. Even though Sister Youchu and I are engaged, if my brother truly loves her, I'm willing to give up the engagement for him. Saying this, he lowered his head, playing the absolute victim. Tears streamed down his face, pulling off the perfect, long-suffering green tea act. I looked back down at my daughter's tightly furrowed brows, the thick layer of cold sweat on her forehead, and how painfully she was struggling. It absolutely ripped my heart apart. I didn't have the damn time to watch these pathetic drama queens put on a show. My eyes swept across the room, and locked onto a heavy red wine bottle on the table, completely tuning out their worthless noise. I grabbed the bottle and hurled it violently at the floor. With a massive, deafening crash, the glass shattered, the sound so loud it left our ears ringing. Everyone in the room jumped out of their skin. The room instantly went dead silent. Now, I still had a sense of control. I didn't aim at his body. Instead, I smashed it right at Wang Baden's feet. The razor-sharp shards sliced right across his calves, and blood instantly spilled onto the floor. Just consider that a little payback in advance for my daughter. Now, are you going to let us leave? My voice was ice cold. The crowd of onlookers who had just been circling around to watch the drama immediately parted to make way for me. I held my daughter up, and walked out step by step under everyone's stares. As I walked right past Wang Gichong, my tone was freezing. I didn't even bother pretending to be polite. If the Wang family doesn't give me a satisfactory explanation for this, our Shen family will hunt you down to the bitter end. And one more thing. If you ever dare to use my name again to spout some garbage about a childhood marriage arrangement, don't even think about showing your faces in Zaicheng ever again. Those words mercilessly ripped right through the Wang family's facade, and sent shockwaves through the crowd of onlookers. That so-called marriage arrangement was actually a complete lie. People exchanged glances, their eyes gleaming with pure gossip. The drama today was just way too juicy to handle. Only the Wangs stood there, their faces completely drained and humiliated beyond belief. Yet none of them dared to talk back. They could only stand there and watch helplessly as the two of us walked away. Right outside the banquet hall, the driver rushed over the second he saw the state Shen Youchu was in. He looked at his CEO, and then at the strange man holding her up. Looking completely confused for a moment, I helped the driver gently settle my daughter into the car. She's been drugged. Step on it, get her to the hospital right now. Not daring to ask any questions, the driver slammed his foot on the gas. The car immediately bolted toward the hospital. Sitting in the back seat, Shen Youchu was completely tense. Yet she stubbornly gripped the edge of my shirt, resting her head against my shoulder. She nuzzled against me dependently. Her usual cold and bossy aura was completely gone, leaving only a fragile, broken girl tormented by whatever they gave her. Clinging to her very last shred of sanity, she mumbled softly, "Dad. You were so scary just now." She had never seen her dad act so fiercely before. But honestly, she wasn't scared at all. Deep down, she actually felt a weird little thrill of joy. Her dad was protecting her. Hearing her mumble that, I reached out and gently tapped her forehead. "You little ingrate. Now you're complaining about your dad being too mean?" Shen Youchu was in so much pain that she was almost fading out of consciousness. Only the sharp pain in her arm kept her barely hanging on to reality. "Dad, please don't leave me behind again." My eyes instantly welled up with tears. I turned my head slightly, and lifted my hand to gently ruffle her hair, just like I did when she was a little girl. "Don't be afraid. Dad is right here. I'm not going anywhere." Who would have thought that right after time traveling back, I'd find my daughter in such a pitiful state? Beyond a heartbreak, my hatred for the Wang family burned even deeper now. I was never, ever going to let them off the hook for this. Later, in the VIP hospital room, Shen Youchu lay quietly on the bed, an IV dripping steadily into the back of her hand. With her eyes closed, she looked so sweet and innocent. I sat there watching her quietly, and in her sleeping face, I could faintly see traces of the little girl she used to be. Her features still held a touch of youthful softness. That beautiful blur between a young girl and a grown woman was so clear in her right now. It immediately made me think of her mother, Si Zhao Zhao. Back when she was 18, Zhao Zhao looked exactly like this too. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been so completely obsessed with her, going to absolutely any lengths to make her mine. Just thinking about it, my expression naturally softened, and a faint smile pulled at the corners of my mouth. Right at that moment, a woman in a sharp business suit walked in. When she saw me sitting by the bed, a flash of surprise and admiration crossed her eyes. Then, she stepped forward to introduce herself. "Hello, I'm CEO Shen's special assistant." "Excuse me, who are you?" I stood up and replied. "I'm Shen Youchu's dad." The moment those words left my mouth, the hospital room fell dead silent. But before I could explain, Assistant Zhao had already quickly fixed her expression. "You, you're the master who went missing all those years ago? I nodded. Yes. It's me. Even though Assistant Zhao was shocked, she didn't dare pry into her boss's family matters. After a quick chat, I managed to get a good read on how my daughter had been doing lately. Once she left, I grabbed the new phone Assistant Zhao had gone out of her way to bring me, and started playing around with it. I've been gone from this world for 13 years. I'm completely out of touch with society. This phone is my fastest way to catch up with the world. I need to adapt as quickly as possible, so I can get back to the lab. I thought about my 13 other daughters, locked safely inside that vault. My blood immediately started pumping. A much bolder idea began taking shape in my mind. The sky slowly turned dark. After scrolling through the phone for hours, my bones felt completely stiff. I stood up, rolled my shoulders to loosen up, and glanced at my daughter, who was still unconscious on the bed. My heart instantly melted. I turned to the caregiver next to us. I'm gonna step out and grab some dinner. Keep an eye on her for me, will you? Call me if anything happens. The caregiver nodded right away. Of course. I stepped out of the room, taking my time as I strolled down the hallway, while my fingertips instinctively dialed a number I knew all too well. Hello? I need to report a crime. Someone drugged my daughter, and tried to assault her. Not long after I walked away, the eyelashes of the young woman in the hospital bed began to flutter. She blinked in confusion, still looking dazed from just waking up. Her foggy consciousness slowly started piecing itself back together, and the chaotic memories gradually became clear. That drink at the banquet, her body going completely numb, someone grabbing her arm in the hallway, and finally, being shoved down onto a soft, massive bed. Every single scene flashed vividly in her mind, but right at the end, she heard her dad's voice. The way he held her so tightly. She heard him fiercely defending her against the others, and she heard his gentle, soothing whispers. Don't be afraid, Dad's right here. Those words felt like a needle, piercing right into the softest, most vulnerable part of her heart. Miss Shen, you're awake. The caregiver keeping watch immediately stood up, frantically reaching over to press the call button. Are you dizzy? Do you need some water? The doctor will be right here. Shen Youchu's voice, though hoarse, still carried that undeniable, commanding aura. She struggled to sit up, but accidentally pulled at her wound, collapsing right back onto the bed. Seeing this, the caregiver hurried over to crank up the head of the bed, letting her lean back comfortably. Who brought me to the hospital? She asked, keeping her tone as flat as possible. But her fingers were gripping the blankets in a white knuckle hold, and a tiny, almost invisible flicker of hope flashed in her eyes. The caregiver's expression turned a little strange. It was a very handsome gentleman. He said he was your dad. Shen Youchu's tense face instantly froze. Just as she opened her mouth to speak, there was a sound outside the door. The silhouette of the man she had yearned for, day and night, slowly walked in. And that voice, it was just as familiar as she remembered. Chuchu, you're awake. Come on, let Dad see if you're still hurting anywhere. Shen Youchu felt like she was dreaming. She just stared at me, completely dazed. Holding a takeout box in my hand, I had a warm smile on my face. Every little movement was exactly like the dad in her memories. She shifted slightly, wanting to say something, but swallowed her words. Right then, the doctor walked in to check on her. Shen Youchu was still in a trance, doing whatever the doctor told her to do. She was unbelievably obedient, but her eyes were glued to me, completely out of her control. She wouldn't look away for even a second. Seeing her look so silly and dazed, she didn't look like a fierce, bossy CEO at all. The moment the doctor left, I set out the takeout food on the table and called out to her. Come eat, you've been asleep for hours. You must be starving. Hearing this familiar nickname, Shen Youchu's ears instantly turned bright red. She was all grown up now, and had strictly forbidden the family from using her childhood nickname a long time ago. But somehow, hearing those words from my mouth filled her heart with a sweet warmth. She even dreaded me changing how I called her. Tentatively, she whispered, Dad. A massive smile broke out on my face, and I reached out to gently pinch her cheek. What's wrong? It's been so long, does my little two Antoine not recognize Dad anymore? Shen Youchu's eyes instantly welled up with tears, usually so calm and composed. A deep, unspoken sorrow washed over her. Are you going to leave again? Her voice carried a faint, barely noticeable tremble, even as her face stubbornly clung to her usual cool indifference. Seeing her terrified out of her mind, yet trying so hard to act like she didn't care, my heart just ached for her. I held out my pinky, just like we used to do when she was little. I'm not leaving. Let's pinky promise. Shen Youchu looked down at my finger, stayed quiet for a couple of seconds, and then completely lost control of her emotions. She threw her arms around my waist, her voice breaking into a sob. Dad, this 18-year-old girl, the fierce CEO everyone else feared, was now burying her face in my chest. Crying like a wronged little kid, she bit back her sobs, but her tears had already soaked right through my shirt. Feeling my daughter trembling softly in my arms, my own eyes started to burn. I gently patted her back. Once she finally calmed down, Shen Youchu belatedly realized exactly what she had just done. She quickly slapped her hands over her face. So embarrassing. How old was she now? How could she still cry in her dad's arms like a toddler? I chuckled and ruffled her hair, teasing her. What's there to be shy about in front of your old man? Hurry up and eat. You can go back to hiding like an ostrich after you're full. Shen Yuchu's face turned even redder. Flustered and embarrassed, she whined. Dad, okay, I'll stop teasing you. I helped her over to the couch. Look, Dad bought your favorite sweet and sour spare ribs just for you. I don't know if your tastes have changed after all these years. Shen Youchu finally lowered her hands from her face. She looked at the rich spread of food in front of her. Her usually tense face softened a lot, and there was a warmth in her voice that she didn't even notice. It hasn't changed, not even after all these years. Dad, you still remember what I like? Of course I do. You're my precious little girl. I've missed you so much, I said, while putting some food on her plate, and coaxing her with sweet words. For a moment, the atmosphere in the hospital room felt incredibly warm. After we finished eating, I looked at my daughter resting on the bed, and thought about the young master of the Wang family. The one I personally sent to the police station. For a second, I didn't even know how to bring it up. But before I could say a word, Shen Youchu beat me to it. Dad, where have you been all these years? We looked for you for so long, but we couldn't find a single trace of you. I already had an excuse prepared. Didn't I leave you guys a note when I left? Friend took me to a secret research facility for medical treatment. Now that I'm fully recovered, I came back. Shen Youchu pursed her lips, clearly not buying my story. Here in Z City, both the Shen and C families are top-tier billionaires. With the power of our two families, it should be impossible for someone to just vanish without a trace. But that day, her dad simply disappeared into thin air. Even the security cameras around the area didn't catch a single clue. It just didn't make any sense. But I couldn't exactly tell her the truth. That I was dragged into a system space by some strange system, right? Back then, I was in a terrible car crash. And only survived because the system used points to keep me alive. After that, I fell into a deep coma. I never would have guessed that 13 whole years would pass by in the blink of an eye. I didn't want to keep lingering on this topic with my daughter, so I quickly changed the subject. What exactly is going on between you and those two boys from the Wang family? The real and fake young masters? I want to know if you actually have any feelings for them. Hearing this, a certain someone immediately popped into Shen Yuchu's mind. The man who had been stalking and harassing her for the past 2 years. The moment she remembered that he actually tried to drug her, she frowned in deep disgust. I don't like them at all. Then, as if she suddenly remembered something, she carefully peeked at my face and asked, Dad, do you want me to marry the Wang family's son? I looked at her completely conflicted expression, and instantly understood. She hated this arranged childhood marriage. But if I just gave the word, she was actually willing to swallow her own feelings and compromise. Absolutely not. My heart ached for her, and I gently rubbed her head. My tone was gentle, but incredibly firm. My little two Antoine doesn't have to be so well behaved. If you don't like them, nobody can force you. Not even your dad. Shen Yuchu's body stiffened just a little. The corners of her mouth curled up uncontrollably. I thought back to her character setting in the novel. My daughter had it all. The perfect family background, stunning looks, and incredible abilities. She took over the Shen group at just 18 years old. She was unbelievably perfect. But sadly, female leads in these tragic romance novels all share the same fatal flaw. They don't understand love, and they don't know how to love. So they end up hurting the male lead over and over again. Thankfully, even though my daughter despises the male lead, she's never done any of that crazy, illegal, organ-stealing nonsense. She just treats him with extreme, freezing indifference. But it was just so strange. Even without me around, there were plenty of elders in the family who cared for her. How could she have grown up feeling completely unloved? I let out a heavy sigh, and quickly comforted her. That so-called marriage agreement? It doesn't even exist. The Wang family was just using my name to mess with people. Don't let it bother you. Then, I dropped a massive bombshell. I just called the cops. Right about now. That Wang family brat who spiked your drink should already be in handcuffs. You're not feeling sorry for him, are you? Shen Yuchu's head snapped up, her eyes wide with absolute shock. But a second later, a wave of warmth rushed through her. I don't feel sorry for him. He got exactly what he deserved. Meanwhile, inside the Wang family's living room, the moment the cops showed up at their door, the entire household went into a full-blown panic. They never, ever expected me to actually be this ruthless. Calling the cops without batting an eye, Wang Baden was slapped in handcuffs, sobbing and bawling through his tears. Mom, Dad, save me. I just liked Youchu way too much. But his mother, Li Shouying, just stood there with a deadly dark expression. She didn't give a damn about her son. All she cared about was the company's reputation. Li Shouying cursed under her breath. Useless piece of trash. He can't even spike a damn drink right. Standing to the side, Wang Zhijiang was secretly thrilled. With Wang Baden locked up, didn't that mean Youchu was all his now? As for Wang Gechong, his face was uglier than anyone else's in the room. He always knew I never actually saw him as a friend. Even back in college, he thought I acted all high and mighty. And now, I was showing absolutely zero mercy. The more he thought about it, the more his blood boiled. He couldn't even be bothered to spare a single glance for his arrested son. Right at that moment, Li Shouying hissed through her teeth, barely containing her rage. Aren't you close with old Madam C? Go beg her for help. As long as the old madam says the word. I refuse to believe that Shen Chen would dare to mess with us. Hearing this, Wang Gechang's eyes suddenly lit up. Beg her? Right, I'm going there right now. Wang Gechong made up his mind instantly. When Wang Zhijiang heard this, the gears in his head started turning like crazy. He honestly hoped Wang Badan would rot in a cell forever. But if he could tag along to the C household and score some brownie points with the old madam, that would be a massive win. So, faking utter devotion, he grabbed onto Wang Gechang's arm. Dad, let me go with you. The two of them rushed over to the C family's historic estate. Even though they had been here countless times before, the sheer luxury of the manor still made their stomachs knot up. They barely even dared to breathe, walking silently through the garden corridors all the way to the main living room. By now, old Madam C had already been informed of their arrival, and was sitting right there in the center of the room. The second Wang Gechong laid eyes on her, he forced the tears to come streaming down his face. Now, old Madam C was always a bit of a softie. Seeing him looking this pathetic, her heart immediately went out to him. Good heavens, what happened? Weren't you just hosting a college acceptance banquet this afternoon? Why on earth are you here crying your eyes out tonight? Hearing her sympathy, Wang Gechong bawled even louder. He grabbed the old woman's hands and started pouring out his grievances. Old madam, it's Shen Chen. He's gone way too far. He actually threw my boy Baden into the police station. It was just kids messing around, a little harmless prank. How could a grown man like him hold a grudge against a child? Shen Chen? Old Madam C completely froze. What did you just say? My son-in-law is back. Wang Gechang's mind raced. He couldn't believe it. Not even the C family knew I was back. He immediately nodded, and started badmouthing me right then and there. That's right. Today, he completely crashed my son's college celebration. He smashed a bottle and slashed Ba Dan. And tonight, he even called the cops and had him arrested. Our poor Ba Dan was lost when he was just a little boy. He's suffered for over 10 years. He just loves Youchu too much. It's not like he did anything terrible. I can't believe Shen Chen would actually lay his hands on a child. Old madam, you can't just sit back and let this happen. Hearing that the boy had been lost and suffered so much, old Mrs. Sis guilt instantly went through the roof. After all, it was her suggestion back then that triggered that whole chain of tragedies. She immediately asked, filled with anxiety, tell me exactly what happened. What on earth is going on? I'll make sure you get justice. Seeing her reaction, Wang Gechong quickly twisted the day's events, conveniently leaving out his own faults. The old lady listened and patted her chest, promising right then and there. Don't worry, this isn't a big deal anyway. Those two kids are engaged, so it's perfectly normal for them to bond. I'll call Youchu right now. You just head back and wait for my news. Engagement. When Wang Zhijiang heard that word, he nearly went crazy with jealousy. That engagement was supposed to be his. What did it have to do with that shameless bastard? Full of grievance, he looked at Wang Gechong, hoping his father would speak up for him. But Wang Gechong completely avoided his gaze. Right now, the top priority was to bail Wang Badan out of the police station and save the Wang family's stock prices. As for that so-called engagement, it was just a total lie he made up to cling to the rich and powerful anyway. Who could have thought that I would actually come back alive to expose it all? Wang Zhijiang gritted his teeth in secret. Sure enough, if you're not their own flesh and blood, nobody gives a damn about you. They claimed they treated him like their own son, but deep down, they only cared about that Wang Badan. Right after the two of them left, old Mr. C came out of the study. He slowly made his way downstairs, looking at his restless wife. He asked, what did the Wang family come here for? Old Mrs. C finally snapped out of it and looked up at him. Shen Chen is back. Did you know? Old Mr. C jolted in shock. Our son-in-law is back? That name had become an absolute taboo in the C family. Back then, their rebellious daughter had finally gotten her life on track after getting married and having a baby. But then, a sudden accident completely shattered their brief moment of family warmth. Old Mr. C let out a heavy sigh. Who knows when Si Jiao Jiao is coming back either. She probably has no idea her husband is back. At the mention of their daughter, old Mrs. Sis' face also filled with worry. That poor girl goes completely off the grid for a few months every single year. If she finds out her husband is back, she's going to be so thrilled. But old Mr. C wasn't optimistic at all. Don't you forget about Si Xiaoming. Shen Chen is no pushover. If he finds out about Si Xiaoming's existence, we'd be lucky if he doesn't turn this whole house upside down. Si Xiaoming was the child Si Jiao Jiao had secretly given birth to on the outside. Not long after I disappeared, a 5-year-old girl knocked on the Shen family's door. With irrefutable DNA test results right in front of them, it was proven that Si Xiaoming really was the Si family's flesh and blood. What makes it even worse, is that the kid is only a few months younger than my daughter, Shen Youchu. At the mention of Si Xiaoming, old Madame Si's face instantly darkened. She asked hesitantly, Shen Chen, he wouldn't actually lay a hand on a child, would he? Old Master Si let out a cold sneer. Just think about it, Shen Chen was missing for over a decade. All those fools who jumped at the chance to seize power. Which one of them wasn't completely crushed and put in their place by old man Shen? Old Madame Si instantly fell silent. It was true, missing for over a decade. The old man of the Shen family never once considered changing the heir. Instead, the moment Shen Youchu turned 18, he brought her right into the company. If you think there weren't some ruthless tactics behind all that, she wouldn't believe it for a second. The two sat in a heavy silence for a long time. Old Madame Si picked up her phone. I'd better give Youchu a call first. Meanwhile, in the hospital room. I had just stepped out of the bathroom when I saw Shen Youchu on the phone, looking absolutely awful. And she saw me, she froze for a second. Then she spoke into the receiver. Okay. I know, I'll talk to Dad about it. She hung up the phone. Seeing that something was clearly bothering her, I asked, who was that? Shen Youchu lowered her head. It was Grandma. The Wang family went crying to her. They want us to let Wang Baden off the hook. I let out a cold laugh. I had figured out my mother-in-law's personality a long time ago. Just ignore her, I said, pausing for a moment. I searched for the right words. To put it nicely, she's kind-hearted. To put it bluntly, she's just a clueless, bleeding heart do-gooder. Running around playing the saint all day, I continued, is only because she knows someone else is always there to wipe her ass. Hearing this, Shen Youchu just stared at me in shock. I reached out and gently ruffled her hair. Don't worry, I said comfortingly. There is zero room for negotiation here. Once you're discharged tomorrow, I'll go back to the old estate and have a little chat with your grandmother myself. But to my surprise, Shen Youchu anxiously grabbed the hem of my shirt. I got it. In her mind, Grandpa's word was absolute law, and Grandma was as stubborn as a mule. She was terrified I'd walk right into a trap if I went back. I let out a soft chuckle. You afraid they're going to pick on me? Shen Youchu just pursed her lips shyly, not saying a word. But her eyes clearly screamed that was exactly what she was thinking. I couldn't help but laugh. Relax. Nobody can push me around. They should consider themselves lucky if I don't bully them. Alright, get some sleep. I gently pinched her cheek. I'll stay right here with you tonight. Once the checkup is done tomorrow and everything looks good, we're out of here. Only then did Shen Youchu finally settle down. The next day, after finishing the discharge paperwork, the driver took us straight back to the Yunding villa. Looking at the familiar fountain and smelling the sweet scent of flowers in the air, it felt like a whole lifetime had passed. This was the villa we bought when we first got married. Even though we hadn't lived here for very long, it held so many beautiful memories. I looked out over the surrounding lawn and casually asked, are your mom and sister at home? Shen Youchu seemed to remember something. She glanced at me cautiously before answering, Mom went abroad on a business trip. Her return date isn't set. Shen Yu is out of town at a summer camp. She'll be back next week. I nodded. I suddenly remembered something. Your sister should be done with her college entrance exams by now, right? Didn't the family throw her a graduation party? Shen Yuchu's expression instantly grew a little awkward. Shen Yu, she was frail growing up, so she started school a year late. So she'll take the exams next year. That was when I remembered. Si Jiao Jiao had a really difficult time giving birth to them back then. All the kids were so tiny and frail. The fifth child, Shen Yu, had it the worst. She practically lived in the hospital when she was little. Always sick. Seeing the worry on my face, Shen Youchu quickly added, Dad, don't worry. Her health has been fully nursed back to normal for a long time now. She can run and jump just fine. You'd never guess how sick she used to be. In her mind, she was already picturing Shen Yu sporting a head of bleached blonde hair and getting into street fights. Hearing this, I finally let out a sigh of relief. Still, the gap between the two daughters was truly massive, even though they were the same age. The second child, Shen Youchu, had skipped grades the whole way, graduating from college at 18 to take over the family business. But the fifth child, Shen Yu, hasn't even taken her college entrance exams yet. No wonder my eldest daughter ended up inheriting the Si family business later on. It seems old Master Si would much rather merge the two companies than let a spoiled prodigal daughter take over. I took a walk around the villa. Everything was exactly the way I remembered it. I pushed open the door to the master bedroom. The layout hadn't changed a bit. Even the little things I used to use all the time were still sitting right there on the desk. Remembering that I had to head back to the Shen family house to have lunch with my dad soon, I stepped into the bathroom and took a quick shower. My dad really had eyes everywhere. He had called Shen Youchu first thing in the morning, ordering us to come back by noon. So, I decided we'd go back to the Shen family home for lunch and visit the Si family in the afternoon. But right as I wrapped my bathrobe around me and pushed open the door to the walk-in closet, I froze in my tracks. Staring ahead, I saw that the entire massive closet was completely packed with the latest season's arrivals. Not only were they all from my favorite brands, but they were all in my exact size. It was as if I had never even left. That was when I noticed a single row of women's clothing squeezed into the corner of the closet. Although there were quite a few of them, compared to my clothes, they looked incredibly pitiful. For a brief moment, I felt as though the master of this house had never actually been away. A wave of complicated emotions washed over me, and I thought back to see Zhao Zhao, how she had transformed from an arrogant, spoiled girl into a calm and mature woman. Shaking off those thoughts, I casually grabbed a white knit sweater and some casual slacks to change into. As I walked past that row of women's clothing, my gaze lingered for a second. But I quickly looked away. As I was heading downstairs, Shen Youchu was on her laptop handling some work, her expression totally serious. The moment she saw me, her cold expression instantly melted away into something soft. Her eyes completely lit up. Dad, I looked at her. Are you busy? Shen Youchu nodded. I'll be done in just a second. She typed furiously on her keyboard for a moment, then quickly put her laptop away. Alright, let's head out now. I gave a nod, asking her as we walked. How are things at the company? Is anyone giving you a hard time? Shen Youchu maintained her usual cool and composed demeanor, answering calmly. Yet she had this forced maturity about her. I've been learning how to run the company with Grandpa since I was little. Most of the staff at Shen Corporation know me. No one would dare give me trouble. As she spoke, she tilted her head to look at me. She shot me a quick look, silently begging for some praise. Even though I don't have a lot of experience yet, with Grandpa backing me up, the company hasn't made a single operational mistake. She pursed her lips and fell silent after that, but I saw right through her cute little attempt fishing for a compliment. I couldn't hold back a laugh. My little two Antoine is so amazing. Shen Yuchu's face instantly flushed red. I knew exactly why. My dad had definitely learned his lesson from the past. Back in the day, I was the heir too. But he gave me way too much freedom, and in my rebellion, I chose medical research instead of business management. The old man was so furious he cut off my allowance entirely. I had no choice but to go out and start my own business. Because of that, he dragged Youchu straight into the company when she was just a little kid, making sure she absorbed everything from day one. The car soon pulled up to the old Shen family estate. Uncle Wang, the old butler, teared up the moment he saw me. Young master, you're finally home. I stepped forward and wrapped him in a huge hug. Uncle Wang, I'm back. Tears streamed down the old man's face. Hurry, come on inside. The master knew you were coming back today. He's been up since dawn, trying on heaven knows how many outfits. I snorted with laughter. My dad really hasn't changed a bit. But to my surprise, the moment I followed Uncle Wang through the door, I spotted a father and son sitting on the couch. The middle-aged man, draped in designer clothes, was busy kissing up to the old man, while the younger boy sat quietly with his head bowed. The moment I saw them, the smile vanished from my face. Well, isn't it lively in here? I drawled sarcastically. Looks like I came at a bad time. If I'd known they were here, I wouldn't have bothered showing up. Saves me the trouble of ruining the mood. My dad, who had been looking completely irritated just a second ago, saw me and his granddaughter, and the corners of his mouth immediately twitched up into a smile. But then he heard my all-too-familiar sarcastic tone. Yep, that was his real son, no doubt about it. He immediately put on a scowl and barked. You brat, talking nonsense the second you walk through the door. Brother, you're really back. Shen Zihao practically jumped up to greet me. Where on earth have you been all these years? Dad and I have been so worried. He reached out to grab my hand, but I quickly took a step back. Whoa, back off. I am certainly not your brother. Without missing a beat, I grabbed my daughter's hand and marched straight to the sofa, sitting down. I didn't even bother calling my dad, father. Old man, did you call me back just to piss me off? Seeing my complete lack of respect, the old man just sighed helplessly. He knew exactly why I was acting this way. This was the price he was paying for the sins of his youth. Truth be told, when he and my mother got married back then, it wasn't exactly out of love to begin with. He was after my mom's scholarly background and top-tier IQ, so she could give him a brilliant heir. And my mom? She was just after his money to fund her research, plus that handsome face of his. They hit it off instantly, and just like that, I came along. Too bad. Not long after I was born, my mom, completely exhausted from years of overwork, suddenly died in the lab. From then on, old man Shen completely let himself go. He refused to acknowledge a single one of his illegitimate kids, because deep down, he already had the absolute best heir. But of course, Shen Zihao had to be the exception. His mom got sick, and with no one to look after him at such a young age, he was dumped at the Shen family. But the second he turned his back, he was out there messing around with some sketchy girls. He became a dad before he was even of legal age, having a pair of boy and girl twins. During the dozen or so years I vanished, he was like a patient wolf, seizing every single chance to desperately kiss up to my dad, dreaming of swallowing up the entire Shen group. Just as the tension spiked, The butler quickly stepped in to smooth things over. The old master knew you were coming back, young master. He specifically had the kitchen prepare a whole bunch of your favorite dishes. Would you like to go take a look? Hearing this, I didn't give them an ounce of respect. After all these years, Dad actually still cares about me? I thought since Dad got himself another son, he had completely forgotten all about me. Old man Shen clutched his chest, looking like he couldn't even breathe. He gave up and stopped looking at me entirely, turning instead to my quiet daughter beside me. Feeling a lot more at ease, he sighed, at least Youchu is so sweet and sensible. Unlike you, pissing me off the second you walked through the door. The butler took the hint and immediately stepped up to rub the old man's chest to calm him down. Old master, please don't get angry. Everyone knows the young master is the absolute apple of your eye. Back then, you couldn't even eat properly out of worry. Now that father and son are finally reunited, it's a wonderfully joyous occasion. Hearing that, I just couldn't keep up my tough act anymore. I hugged old man Shen's arm, smiling as I playfully acted like a spoiled brat. I knew Dad still cared about me. Seeing this incredibly rare moment of me softening up, the old man's heart instantly melted into a puddle. He affectionately booped my nose. Where on earth have you been all these years? Why wasn't there a single word from you? I stuck to my usual script. A friend took me to a top-secret research facility for treatment. And now I'm fully recovered. Afraid he wouldn't be easily fooled. I quickly added, it has to do with my upcoming research. So it has to be kept strictly confidential. Old man Shen was instantly bluffed by me. He could only turn his attention to Shen Youchu. I heard Youchu got set up by that brat from the Wang family? We chatted like nobody else was even in the room. Beside us, Shen Zihao was clenching his fists so tight his knuckles turned white. Shen Youchu didn't even spare him a single glance, just answering the old man on her own. It was almost set up, yeah. She looked right at me, looking incredibly relieved. The old man thought about it for a moment, and then asked her, I heard you actually threw that kid straight into the police station. Are you planning on calling off the engagement? This time, before Youchu could even open her mouth, I snatched the conversation right out of her mouth. What engagement? That was just the Wang family running their mouths and using my name. With their trashy behavior, old man, you could have at least tried to stop them. The old man was left completely speechless by me. He shot me a fierce glare. Oh, sure, when you want something, I'm Dad. But the second I'm of no use to you, it's old man. He asked, clearly annoyed, weren't you and him pretty close back in college? How was I supposed to know the engagement was fake? Seeing his opening, Shen Zihao immediately chimed in. He's right, brother. I mean, since the engagement is already set, it's probably best to just go through with it. If you back out at the last minute, it's really going to hurt the Shen family's reputation. I didn't care at all, simply stating. First of all, there never was an engagement. And even if there was, so what? I could tear up the agreement right to their faces, and the Wang family couldn't do a damn thing about it. That was a bold statement. Shen Zihao clenched his fists so tight his knuckles turned white, and asked through gritted teeth, aren't you and Wang Gachang supposed to be great friends? I let out a short laugh. We get along fine, sure, but certainly not close enough for me to sell off my own daughter. At that moment, even Shen Youchu, sitting right beside me, allowed a tiny smile to touch her lips. Alright, the old man declared, shutting down the debate. If that's how it is, then just cancel it. It's really no big deal. He never liked the Wang family's shady attitude anyway. I then turned to look at Youchu. The Wang family crossed the line and hurt you, so they better be prepared to pay the price. Surprisingly, the old man nodded immediately. Exactly. Cut off all our business ties with the Wang family. There's absolutely no reason to let them keep profiting off of us. Shen Youchu looked at her grandfather in absolute shock. All her life, he had been incredibly strict with her. But this time, he was actually making an exception just for her. Watching our warm family moment, the completely ignored Shen Zihao looked absolutely furious. He nudged his son, signaling him to go over and suck up to the old man. But the boy completely ignored him. Shen Zihao muttered a curse under his breath. Useless. Then, his eyes darted around, and he suddenly plastered on a fake, caring smile. Brother, have you seen Zhao Zhao since you got back? I turned to look at him. You mean see Zhao Zhao? Shen Zihao's face was practically dripping with malice. Yeah, you vanished for 13 years without a single word. Honestly, it'd be completely normal if she found another man. So please, brother, try not to let it bother you too much. In an instant, the old man and Youchu's expressions completely darkened. I froze for a split second. She has another man? Shen Zihao immediately slapped a hand over his mouth, faking the look of someone who had just slipped up. Oh my god, brother, you didn't know? I am so sorry, I didn't mean to. At this point, the old man was genuinely furious. He slammed his hand hard against the table, pointing a shaking finger right at Shen Zihao. If you don't have anything good to say, then shut your mouth. We are trying to eat. Get out and go home, right now. Dad, you're seriously kicking me out? Shen Zihao looked utterly shocked. He just couldn't believe that his years and years of sucking up meant absolutely nothing compared to my very first day back. The old man gave a single look. And the butler immediately understood, stepping forward to politely but firmly gesture Shen Zihao to the door. Shen Zihao's eyes burned with bitter resentment. He looked at the old man, then at me, and finally, with no other choice, he stormed off with an angry wave of his hand. The boy who had been cowering in the corner turned and ran out. Seeing his dad leave, he immediately jumped up and followed. The atmosphere in the living room instantly grew weirdly heavy. I looked at the old man, and then at Youchu. I asked point blank, so? Si Zhao Zhao really found another man. Honestly, I kind of get it. After all, we were missing for 13 years. I've even made my peace with it. If she really fell for someone else, we'll just get a quiet divorce. Besides, our Shen family already has Youchu as our heir, so it's no loss. Hearing my incredibly casual attitude, the old man breathed a subtle sigh of relief. But what he said next left me completely stunned. Actually, Si Zhao Zhao hasn't had it easy these past few years. Not long after you left, a 5-year-old child showed up at her door claiming to be family. What? The old man sighed. God knows what twisted methods that guy used to steal her eggs. He found a surrogate to have the baby. The kid is only a few months younger than Youchu. He went on, they've already done a DNA test. The child really is Si Zhao Zhao's. She was completely set up. But the Si family only took in the kid. They never let that man set foot in the house. But that wasn't the end of it. The old man's next words were even more shocking. Si Zhao Zhao has been torturing herself over this whole mess. She's grown darker and more withdrawn. A lot of people out there are saying she's gone a bit crazy. Crazy? Back when he first found out about this, he had almost taken a crew to storm the Si family mansion. Only to hear the news that Si Zhao Zhao had locked herself and that kid inside, threatening to burn them both alive. My heart skipped a beat. Si Zhao Zhao really had lost her mind. Just then, Shen Youchu, who had been completely silent, quietly raised her head. She mumbled softly, my last name is Shen. If dad gets a divorce, I'm staying with dad. The old man burst out laughing, ha ha ha. Of course my Shen family heir isn't going to the Si family. But Youchu still seemed a bit uneasy. She furrowed her brows, looking like she was still worried about something. I snapped out of my messy thoughts and gently tapped her on the head. You're already 18. You've been an adult for a while now. You don't need to choose between mom or dad anymore. Shen Youchu suddenly realized it. That's right. She could just stick by my side the whole time. Figuring this out, she visibly relaxed. I, however, started piecing together the plot of that novel in my head. Combined with what my dad had just revealed. The Si family had been in serious turmoil all these years. But in the novel, the description of the female lead's family background was nothing like this at all. Si Zhao Zhao, Shen Youchu took over the company. My mind was an absolute mess. The mother and daughter turning on each other. Was it all because of that illegitimate daughter? I looked at my daughter with worry. When she was little, she and her mom used to be so close. How did things get so messed up when she grew up? I quickly pressed on. Who exactly is this guy? The old man sighed. He's an illegitimate son from the second branch of the Liu family. He was only brought back into the fold because he gave the Si family an heir. The Liu family has been going downhill these past few years. Turns out, they were dead set on arranging a marriage between him and Si Zhao Zhao. Ah, so that's it. The Liu family wants to use a kid to latch onto the Si family. To secure their own status. I didn't ask anything else. This whole mess is just too complicated to untangle. As for getting a divorce or whatever else, it all has to wait until Si Zhao Zhao gets back. I wasn't going to give myself any more headaches over this. So, after lunch, I took Youchu and headed straight for the Si family estate. Right before we left, the old man grabbed my hand, looking worried, and warned me. Shen Chen, take it easy, alright? Don't go breaking those old bones at the Si family apart. I was speechless. Do I look like that kind of guy? But the old man just gave me this meaningful look. He didn't say a word. The moment we stepped through the Si family's gates, I heard happy, laughing voices coming from inside. The Wang family had actually beaten us to the punch. Youchu instinctively looked up at me, her eyes full of worry. I strode right in, letting my full presence take over the room. The moment old Mrs. Si saw me, she shot up from her seat. But just as she opened her mouth, my ice-cold glare stopped her dead in her tracks. She awkwardly choked out my name. Shen Chen, you're really back. My eyes swept from Wang Gachong on the sofa, to Wang Jijiang, and then to Wang Baden. Finally, my gaze landed on the mother-in-law I hadn't seen in years. And I didn't hold back. Mom, I never expected that the moment I returned, I'd find my own daughter being bullied. I paused, staring her down. So, this is how you get justice for your granddaughter. Unbelievable. You actually went behind my back and bailed Wang Baden out of the police station. The moment the words left my mouth, a dead, awkward silence fell over the living room. The old woman glanced at Yuchu's icy expression next to me, her eyes darting with guilt. She had no idea what to say, but Wang Gachong took a step forward. Shen Chen, look, I know you've got an issue with Baden, but he was locked up for a whole night. The poor kid has suffered enough. He already knows he messed up. Just let him off the hook, won't you? The old woman immediately chimed in. Yes, exactly. Look, Youchu is perfectly fine now. You really shouldn't hold a grudge. Besides, our two families still have that arranged marriage. It'll look terrible if word gets out. I let out a cold laugh. This mother-in-law of mine hasn't changed a bit in all these years. The Qing dynasty fell over a century ago, and you people are still doing arranged marriages? What? Did they miss your address when they announced the modern era? Wang Zhejiang and Wang Baden's faces instantly turned pale. Wang Zhejiang looked up at Youchu, tears welling up. The voice was fragile and full of fake pity. Youchu, sister, my brother really knows he made a mistake. Just do this for my sake. Please, just let my brother go. For your sake? I pulled my daughter behind me, shielding her. Your scheming was so loud, I could hear it from my own house. I didn't even let Youchu answer. I fired right back. And how much is your sake actually worth? Wang Zhejiang choked, hand freezing right in the middle of wiping away those fake tears. I whipped my head back to the old woman, my voice cutting like a knife. This family drugged your granddaughter yesterday, and today you're actually here speaking up for the attackers? I narrowed my eyes, every single word cutting right to the bone. I'm starting to seriously wonder if your C family has been mistreating my daughter all these years. The old lady clutched her chest, staggering back half a step. She pointed a trembling finger at me. Seeing this, Wang Gechong immediately jumped in to play the hero. Shen Chen, how can you speak to an elder like that? I unleashed absolute hell. Turning my fury straight at him, I snapped. I only went after her. So you thought you were safe, huh? Wang Gechong instantly froze, softening his tone. Shen Chen, let's talk this out calmly. They're just kids. Let's not ruin our ties. Everyone knows how Baden feels about Youchu. The whole social circle knows. He only did this because he's so in love with her. That he did something so foolish. The whole circle knows it. I cut him right off. Knows what? Knows that your son has been stalking and harassing my daughter for 2 years? Or knows that she's been rejecting him for 2 solid years? Wang Gechang's face flushed with embarrassment, while Wang Baden wept, tears of sheer humiliation streaming down his face. Uncle Shen, I know you despise me, but my feelings for you two are real. I chased her for 2 whole years. For 2 years, every single day I chased her for 2 years. I didn't have the patience for his absolute garbage. I went straight for the throat. Did she ever say yes? Wang Baden's sobbing choked to a halt. I glared at him like a hawk. For 2 years, she flat out rejected you countless times. She told you to stop harassing her. But you didn't listen. You just kept forcing yourself on her. You blocked her dorm room to force breakfast on her. You stalked her at her office to dump your cheap gifts. Calling her, spamming her with messages. No matter how cold Youchu was to you. You just played dumb. Do you have any idea how much hell you put her through? My rage completely boiled over. The whole social circle knows you were after my daughter. They looked down on you, yet they all pressured her to just give in. Wang Baden, do you know what that actually is? That is emotional blackmail, and it is pure, absolute harassment. Wang Baden's face flushed a deep, ugly red as his tears kept pouring down. Wang Gechong looked equally humiliated. All they wanted was to use their 2 sons as some sick double insurance policy. Because no matter which one of them managed to marry Youchu, the Wang family would climb the social ladder. Wang Baden wiped his face, choking on his own sobs. But I really, truly love Youchu. I didn't feel a single ounce of pity for him. You used your little obsession as a weapon. You tried to force a girl who feels nothing for you into submission. And when she says no, you act like she's the ungrateful one. I took 2 heavy steps forward, staring dead into his eyes. You stalked her for 2 years, and then you played the victim. You made everyone think she owed you something. But she rejected you for 2 solid years. She never gave you a single shred of hope. Even that damn engagement was completely made up by you Wangs. Wang Baden trembled violently, his face completely covered in tears. You think just because you put in the effort, you're entitled to a reward? You think acting pitiful makes you right? You think crying the loudest makes you innocent? It is a hard fact that you drugged my daughter yesterday. There is absolutely no denying that. I sneered, my face ice cold. I'm issuing my final ultimatum, starting today. Both the Shen family, and the C family will sever all ties with you Wangs. And you'd better know what's good for you. I turned to the butler, my voice dead cold. Butler, show them out. Old Madam C tried to step in, but the moment she met my freezing glare, she froze instantly. She could only watch helplessly as the butler escorted that mother and her 2 sons out the door. When I turned back, I saw Shen Youchu in tears. All the pain she had buried deep down was suddenly dragged back to the surface. It made my chest ache. For the past 2 years, Wang Badan has stuck to her like glue, turning her into a spectacle wherever she goes. People mocked her, called her heartless. They even took bets on when she would finally break. Those suffocating whispers left her with nowhere to hide. My heart broke for her. I gently patted her shoulder, then turned and sat down on the couch. I looked at the old lady with a flat stare. Spit it out. What on earth were you thinking? Why are you dead set on helping the Wangs? I poured myself a cup of tea, but old Madam C was sulking. and completely ignored me. I slowly looked up, my patience instantly hitting 0. The very next second, I smashed my teacup onto the floor. I snapped, my voice freezing cold. Are you still not going to talk? Old Madam C jumped in fright. She slumped back on the couch and started wiping her tears, playing the part of the sad, guilty victim. I just feel so guilty towards the Wang family. Hearing that, I almost laughed at her twisted logic. She actually claimed that I was partly to blame for the Wang family's child getting swapped back then. That if I hadn't suggested going to the resort, none of that mess would have ever happened. But I had everything perfectly arranged. A full medical team, bodyguards, everything. Yet, right when my wife was in critical labor, this old lady suddenly decided to play savior. She actually ordered my medical staff to go save someone else. And the result? My wife was left without enough help, and we ended up losing 3 of our own babies. As for Wang Guochang, she had her own bodyguards. She was the one who sent her own guards to save people, just to suck up to the old lady. You couldn't pin that on the C family if you tried. Yet this old lady actually nodded and took the blame. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I completely blew up. The ones you owe the biggest apology to for what happened back then are my 3 missing children. Not the Wangs. The Wangs had their own bodyguards. Wang Guochang just wanted to play hero. What did that have to do with you? Yet you keep hurting your own flesh and blood granddaughter, over and over again for outsiders. What is wrong with you? The old lady's face went deathly pale from my yelling. Right then, old Master C walked in from outside. I didn't want to waste another breath on her, so I just gave a curt greeting. Dad, old Master C nodded. He glanced at his wife and asked point blank, what stupid thing did your mother do this time? I let out a heavy sigh. Dad, the stupid things Mom has done aren't just 1 or 2. Please keep a closer eye on her from now on. And as for the Wang family, don't ever associate with them again. With that said, I grabbed Yuchu's hand, and we left without even touching our dinner. We walked straight out, keeping completely silent the whole way back. It wasn't until after we had dinner that I pulled my daughter aside. I checked the wound on her arm. Be careful with this. Make sure it doesn't get wet. Shen Youchu nodded. I reached out and gently ruffled her hair. After struggling with my thoughts for a while, I finally asked the question that had been weighing heavily on my heart. Have you suffered a lot in this house all these years? Shen Youchu froze, her eyelashes trembling slightly. No, I really haven't. I don't believe you. I stared intently into her eyes, and pressed on with the real question. Has your mother been good to you all these years? She wanted to say yes, but the moment she thought of her mother's harsh, demanding attitude, and her blatant favoritism toward her younger sister, the words got caught in her throat. After a long silence, she finally managed to force out a few words. She's been good. Seeing her lie through her teeth like this made my heart ache terribly. So the rift between her and this family had started this early on. No wonder she grew up not knowing how to love or be loved. I was the one who brought her into this world. So teaching her, and loving her, that's the absolute duty I have to fulfill as her father. So, I dropped the heavy subject and shifted the conversation to her interests. What do you usually do for fun when you want to relax? To my surprise, she just shook her head. I usually have too many classes, and once I graduate, I'll be busy with work. My downtime is really short, so I usually just zone out and empty my mind. My heart stung hearing that. Her life shouldn't just revolve around duty and work. I immediately looked at her and said, you're still so young. You need to go out and have fun. Honestly, rather than seeing you achieve massive success, Dad just wants you to be happy. And I wasn't just saying that. Back in the day, I was willing to get kicked out of the house by my own father, just so I could pursue the career I loved. Now, there's absolutely no way I'm letting my own daughter be chained down by all these ridiculous expectations. I could see a flicker of unfamiliar emotion swell up in her eyes. Her whole life, all she had ever known were the suffocating expectations of the family. She carried a crushing weight on her shoulders, never daring to stop and catch her breath for even a second. Not to mention the illegitimate son at home, constantly eyeing everything like a hawk. Because of all that, she forced herself to climb to the very top. Desperately trying to shield the people she cared about, I gently grabbed her by the arm. Well, since you're free right now, how about you watch a movie with Dad? Just treat it as a mini vacation. Shen Yuchu's eyes lit up instantly. In all her years growing up, she had never once watched a movie with me. The very next second, the two of us sprinted into the kitchen like a pair of hamsters hoarding winter snacks. Within moments, our arms were loaded with all kinds of snacks and drinks. Cradling a huge bag of potato chips, Shen Youchu smiled. When Shen Yu gets back and realizes her snack stash is completely wiped out, God knows what kind of tantrum she'll throw. I chuckled, turning around to pull 2 bottles of Coke from the fridge. It's all junk food anyway, and she's still too young for it. It's bad for her health. Me, on the other hand, I'm a different story. I'm getting up there in years, you know. Every meal I get to enjoy is one less I have left. But to my surprise, the moment Shen Youchu heard that, her face instantly went ice cold. She could probably still picture how I looked. lying on that hospital bed when I was younger. Don't you dare joke about your health like that. Seeing my daughter getting genuinely upset, I quickly rushed to coax her. Okay, I'm sorry. I misspoke, alright? Don't be mad, Tuan. But, she was still upset. She was naturally a quiet person to begin with, and now, she was completely ignoring me. Looking at her pouting face was just too funny, so, I reached out, poking her cheek 1 second, and gently squeezing her arm the next. Soon enough, this angry little pufferfish completely deflated, and switched right back to her good girl mode. In the dim light of the home theater, we cuddled up with our snacks. I tore open every single bag, taking a bite for myself, and then feeding a bite to her. If it tasted good, I'd eat a few extra bites. If it was awful, I just dumped it all on her. And Shen Youchu didn't refuse a single thing. As long as I was the one feeding her, she ate it all. The movie on screen was absolutely thrilling, making me burst out laughing, which ended up making her smile, too. We watched like this for almost 2 hours, and I was starting to get a bit sleepy. I stood up, stretched my back, and looked down at Shen Youchu, who still had a soft smile on her face. I reached out and gave her a gentle hug. Go back to your room and get some rest early, okay? Good night, sweetheart. The tips of her ears turned slightly red, and a happy little smile curled on her lips. Good night, Dad. By the time I woke up the next day, Shen Youchu had already left for the office. After finishing my breakfast, I followed my memory straight to the study. I quickly scanned the bookshelf, walking right over to the top shelf. I reached up and pulled out a book I rarely ever read. Hidden right behind it was a secret safe. I slowly punched in the password. And with a soft click, a tiny white porcelain bottle caught my eye. I popped the lid open, and sitting right there inside was half a black pill, completely odorless, and only about the size of a fingernail. It looked exactly like half a leftover chocolate chip. This was the super strength pill. And it was also the exact culprit that got Si Jiao pregnant, all those years ago. I narrowed my eyes, thinking back to that super strength system that had been stuck to me for over 20 years. It locked onto me the exact second I was born. Apparently, it was originally supposed to bind to my dad, but it totally screwed up. It ended up binding to me when I was still just an embryo. Unable to unbind, this rookie system held a massive grudge. Ever since I was a kid, it was constantly nagging in my ear to have a baby. That is, until I turned 21, and met Si Jiao, when she strutted her stuff and tried to seduce me for the 3rd time. I just couldn't hold back anymore, and took her straight back to my place. Right while we were getting hot and heavy in bed, the system jumped at the chance again. I snapped, and yelled at it in my head. Have a baby, have a baby, have a baby. That's all you ever care about. If you're so obsessed, why don't you spit one out yourself? I hope you get pregnant with 18 sons at once, and every single one of them turns out to be a little rebel. Well, as a result, that rebellious system completely snapped, and whipped out a fertility pill. Trying to shove that down my throat? 18 sons, was it? I'll make you give birth to them yourself. My reaction was lightning fast. I instantly spat the pill right back out. But, that damn thing melted the second it hit my tongue. That night, I turned into an absolute machine, and managed to get Si Jiao pregnant with 5 babies. This half of the pill sitting in the safe? It's the exact same one I spat out all those years ago. Since I'm in pharmaceutical R&D anyway, I've always been intensely fascinated by this miracle drug. But it has one fatal flaw. It prioritizes the safety of the fetuses to the extreme, completely draining the mother in the process. Back then, Si Jiao just kept getting weaker and weaker. Every ounce of nutrition was sucked dry by the babies. We couldn't even safely reduce the number of fetuses, because the procedure would have absolutely destroyed her body. In the blink of an eye, 18 years have passed. My quote-unquote 13 kids were still just quietly sitting in that little porcelain bottle. Looking right at this pill, a crazy idea popped into my head again. Maybe I could extract the active ingredients from this thing. If I could do that, I'd be able to mass-produce countless copies of this fertility pill. Sure, using it on humans has terrible side effects. But what if I used it on animals or plants? Imagine a pig having 108 piglets in a single litter. Or a supercrop where a single plant yields as much as an entire acre. The more I thought about it, the more pumped I got. My blood was absolutely boiling. But, I quickly forced myself to calm down. I've fallen way too far behind the times. Right now, my top priority is to bury my head in the books and catch up with the modern world. I dug out all my old textbooks and scoured the internet for a ton of online courses. Getting ready to cram like crazy. But when I stepped out of my study around noon, I noticed all the servants giving me these really weird looks. I immediately pulled the butler aside. What's going on? The butler looked totally torn, stammering as he spoke. It's the Wang family, sir. They're spreading lies online about the second young miss. My stomach dropped. I whipped out my phone right away, and was instantly hit by a massive wave of pure hate. I tapped on a random post, and finally figured it out. It turns out that yesterday, both the Shen and C families made a move at the same time, completely cutting off all business ties with the Wangs. And this morning, pushed into a corner, the Wang family actually started a live stream just to drag my daughter's name through the mud. The stream was literally titled The True and Fake Heirs of the Wang Family. Talk about clickbait. I clicked on a screen recording someone had posted. There was Wang Jijiang, staring right into the camera, crying his eyes out and blubbering. Youchu, Sister Youchu, please stop going after our family. We've already agreed to cancel the engagement. We swear we'll never bother you again. Right after that, Wang Baden appeared with red, puffy eyes, looking like the ultimate tragic victim bravely holding back his pain. This is all my fault. My family is completely innocent. I just hope you can give the Wang family a way to survive. They were completely twisting the truth. Not only did they hide the fact that their vicious adoptive mother purposely swapped the babies, but they even threw all the dirt onto old Madam C. Worse, they painted my daughter, Shen Youchu, as some manipulative girl bouncing between two brothers, and as a ruthless, heartless monster who was trying to destroy them after breaking off the engagement. Almost instantly, the Wangs became the ultimate victims, while our Shen and C families were thrown straight into the center of a massive PR storm. The comment section was an absolute war zone. Wow, the mighty CEO of the Shen group is actually this much of a trashy bitch? She plays the younger brother and then dumps the older one? That's so sick. If the boss is this toxic, their products must be absolute garbage too. Boycott the Shen group, stringing along the real heir on one side. A typical scumbag. Looking at all these disgusting, abusive comments, my brows furrowed tightly. They don't even know the truth. Yet they just start cursing based on a one-sided story. My fingertips hovered over those hateful remarks before I directly dialed my daughter's number. However, a steady busy tone echoed from the receiver. I called 3 times in a row, and still, no one answered. Now, I was getting a bit worried. So, I shot up from my seat and directly instructed the maid. I'm heading to the office. Pack up the food. I'll take it over and eat with Youchu. Half an hour later, carrying the lunchbox, I stood outside the Shen Corporation building. The moment I walked into the lobby, the receptionist stopped me. Excuse me, sir, do you have an appointment? I paused my steps and replied calmly. I'm Shen Youchu's father, but who would have thought? The receptionist looked at me as if I were a complete scammer. He looked me up and down, and the meaning in his eyes was painfully obvious. I looked like I was in my early 20s at most. How could I possibly have a daughter as old as Shen Youchu? Clearly, he mistook me for just another gold-digging suitor. Just like that so-called real young master from the Wang family. I curled my fingers, and lightly tapped the desk. The receptionist snapped back to reality, but kept his strict, professional tone. I'm sorry, sir. I cannot go in without an appointment. I let out a sigh, forced to emphasize it once more. I really am her biological dad. You can call the CEO's office. Assistant Lee knows me too. The receptionist picked up the phone, still half in disbelief. But the very next second, he started nodding frantically at the receiver. Yes, of course. Don't worry, Assistant Lee. I promised to escort him upstairs safe and sound. The moment he hung up, he slapped on a sugary sweet smile. Right this way, sir. Please follow me. I waved him off and walked straight over to the CEO's private elevator. My information was already logged in the system, so I rode up to the top floor without a hitch. Assistant Lee hurried over to greet me the second she saw me. Sir, Boss Shen is in a meeting right now. Ah, so she was in a meeting. No wonder she didn't pick up her phone. I followed her into the office, set the lunchbox down on the desk, and cut straight to the chase. Those rumors online, hasn't the PR department handled them yet? Cold sweat instantly broke out on Assistant Lee's forehead, but just as she was about to explain, a cold, commanding voice suddenly echoed from outside the door. Send this proposal back. Do it all over again. I chuckled inwardly. My second daughter really is a fierce boss lady at work. The very next second, the office doors were pushed open. Shen Youchu marched in with a stern expression. But the moment she laid eyes on me, the icy glare on her face melted away instantly. Dad, what are you doing here? Her subordinates trailing behind her stared in absolute shock. They probably never imagined Boss Shen's father would look this incredibly young. I lifted the lunchbox in my hand. Just brought you some food. You go ahead and finish up your work first. To my surprise, Shen Yuchu's usually stern face actually broke into a surprisingly sweet smile. I'm all done. Shen Youchu handed the files to the person next to her and waved them off. That will be all. You guys can head back now. Her subordinates looked as if they'd just been granted amnesty and scurried away. In the blink of an eye, it was just the two of us, father and daughter, left in the office. Seeing her switch from a domineering CEO to a sweet little kitten, I just couldn't hold it in anymore, and burst out laughing. Dad, what's so funny? Shen Youchu looked completely baffled. Stifling my laughter, I teased her. Oh, nothing. I was just thinking about that classic line from those bossy CEO novels. The young miss hasn't smiled like this in ages. The looks on her subordinates' faces were exactly like that. Shen Youchu helplessly rubbed her temples. Clearly unable to keep up with my train of thought, she sighed, "Dad. You're making fun of me again." I reached out and gently pinched her cheek. "You're so pretty, you really should smile more often." "Dad loves seeing it," she mumbled a soft sound of agreement. Having had our fun, I sat back down on the sofa. Getting straight to business, I asked, "Have you seen the news online? The Wang family is publicly spreading rumors. They even dragged your grandma into this mess. Have you figured out how to handle it?" Shen Youchu adjusted her collar, her eyes turning razor sharp in an instant. "I've got this completely under control." I raised an eyebrow. "You don't need my help?" The corner of her lips curled up, her tone brimming with confidence. "No need. It's just a minor hiccup. Definitely not worth you stepping in, Dad." Hearing her say that put my mind completely at ease. And sure enough, when I pulled out my phone again, the trending topics online had already been swiftly dealt with. Not only had the Shen Group's official website released a full clarification, but they had also slapped down several legal notices. They weren't just suing the Wang family. They were going after every single internet troll who had jumped on the bandwagon. Beautifully done. I felt incredibly satisfied. Those keyboard warriors, don't let a single one of them off the hook. Shen Youchu nodded. Alright, let's eat first." As I set out the food, I couldn't help but nag her a little. "You're still so young, don't work yourself to the bone. Getting a stomach ulcer would be a real nightmare." Listening to my nagging, a wave of warmth washed over Shen Yuchu's heart. She even lifted a hand to press against her chest. She was probably thinking, was this the annoying, dad nagging her best friend was always complaining about? To her, it was clearly something worth cherishing. After we finished eating, Shen Youchu checked her phone. The screen was flooded with unread messages and missed calls. Right at that moment, a video call suddenly popped up on the screen. When she saw the caller ID, she instinctively shot a quick glance at me. Then, she hurriedly jammed the mute button and stood up, trying to act completely casual. "Dad, I'm just gonna run to the restroom really quick." I was completely engrossed in the shifting tide of public opinion online, so I barely paid her any mind. Shen Youchu let out a quiet sigh of relief and quickly stepped into the bathroom. Closing the door, the video call connected. On the other end of the line, a teenage girl with blue and gray hair stood against the light, flashing a cute smile with her little fangs. "Sis, I saw the news trending online. Did you really break off your engagement with the Wang family?" On the other end of the screen, Shen Yu's eyes showed a hint of worry, while Shen Yuchu's reply was as brief as ever. "Yeah, the Wang family made up the whole engagement anyway." Shen Yu gasped in shock. "It was fake?" Well, Shen Youchu didn't elaborate any further, but I knew exactly what was really going on. Back in the day, Wang Gachang did mention something about a childhood arrangement being destiny, but I saw right through his greedy scheme to climb the social ladder. I absolutely refused. I never expected the Wang family to drag up the past behind my back, and even claim that I had personally agreed to it. Thinking about all this nonsense, Shen Yuchu's face twisted in disgust. Shen Yu could tell her sister didn't want to dwell on it, so she quickly dropped the subject and cheerfully added, "Well, I never liked the Wang family anyway. Good riddance. You're doing okay though, right, sis?" Shen Youchu shook her head. "I'm fine. What about you? When are you coming back?" Meanwhile, sitting outside, I couldn't help but feel a bit suspicious. Who was she talking to that she had to be so secretive? Could it be a boyfriend? Just as I was wondering about it, Shen Youchu walked out of the bathroom. Seeing that I was still casually scrolling on my phone, she actually breathed a secret sigh of relief. Suspicious. Definitely hiding something, but I didn't call her out on it. Instead, I waved my phone and joked, pretending to be completely relaxed. "I've been looking into it, and the internet nowadays is seriously amazing." Right after that, I pitched my grand idea to her. "Sweetie, since we're getting so much attention online right now, I was thinking we should use this hype to post a missing persons ad. We can finally find your oldest sister, your third sister, and your fourth sister." Hearing this, Shen Yuchu's eyes instantly lit up. "That's a great idea. As soon as this mess with the Wang family is sorted out, I'll put out an official missing persons notice online." "That's perfect." But as I stared at her face, I couldn't help but let out a heavy sigh. "You know, you girls are quintuplets. How on earth do you not look exactly alike? If you all looked the same, I could have just posted your picture up there. Think of how fast that would be." Shen Yuchu's mouth twitched. She obviously pictured the scene too, and actually gave a little shudder. Just then, her phone rang again. The screen flashed with the word Grandpa. As she answered the call, her expression instantly turned ice cold. "Okay, Grandpa, please don't worry. I'll be right there." My heart skipped a beat. "What happened?" I asked. Her tone was completely freezing. "The Wang family went to make a scene at Grandma's house. Grandma got so worked up that she ended up in the hospital." "What?" I sprang to my feet. "Say no more, I'm coming with you." We rushed to the hospital. Right as we reached the door to her room, we heard someone sobbing inside. "Boo-hoo, it's all my fault. If anything happens to you, madam, I will never forgive myself." It was Wang Gachang. I peeked through the crack in the door and saw him dragging his two sons to their knees. bowing their heads to the floor. And Wang Zhejiang? He was actually holding up his phone, filming the old lady on the bed. He was live streaming. What was even more sickening was that the live chat was full of twisted lies. Cursing grandma to hell and back, claiming our C family was forcing them to kneel. Calling us ruthless. Wang Zhejiang glanced at the comments flooding the screen, and a smug smirk actually flashed across his eyes. Just then, Grandpa started shaking with anger. He pointed straight at Wang Zhejiang and roared, "You're completely twisting the truth." When Wang Zhejiang saw me, he purposely flinched, putting on this pathetic, helpless little act. "Grandpa see, I really don't know what else to do. Please, have mercy and just let our family go." I absolutely couldn't stomach it anymore. I kicked the door wide open, my glare as cold as ice. "Looks like the lesson I taught you Wangs was way too light." Everyone in the room snapped their heads toward me, but I just gently patted Shen Youchu on the shoulder. "Go pour your grandma a warm drink. Make sure she's okay." Shen Youchu shot a freezing glare at the three Wangs. Her stare was so lethal, it left Wang Zhejiang's hand trembling as he held the phone. But right at that moment, the live chat absolutely blew up. "Holy crap, who is that gorgeous girl? And the guy who just kicked the door? So freaking cool. I'm giving you 5 minutes. I want everything on those two, now." Seeing the tide turning against him, Wang Zhejiang started to panic. But instead of making him shut off the stream, I locked my eyes right onto his. "Come on, point the camera right at me." He did it without even thinking. I wanted this to blow up. I was going to use this viral moment to bring all my daughters home. Sensing things going south, Wang Gichang quickly stepped up and started whining. "Shen Chen, I know you all look down on Wang Baden because he's not blood-related. But what about Baden? He's been chasing you two for 2 whole years. Stop right there." I cut him off immediately. "You made that whole engagement up. We never agreed to a damn thing." I turned my head toward my mother-in-law on the bed, laying out the facts loud and clear right in front of hundreds of thousands of viewers. Tearing their lies apart, piece by piece. "Back when the babies were switched, you were the one who snuck off to the resort. You were the one who sent the bodyguards away. It had absolutely nothing to do with my mother-in-law. Yet you dare to spread rumors online, putting her in the hospital from the stress, and causing both our company's stocks to tank. The losses are massive." My voice dropped to a low, dangerous growl. "That's more than enough to send you all back behind bars, don't you think?" The second I said that, the comments in the live chat completely flipped. "Hold on, did he just call Madam C his mother-in-law? So that makes him Shen Youchu's dad. And the main point is, the engagement is a total fake. The whole real and fake young master drama has nothing to do with the C family, so the Wang family orchestrated this entire stunt themselves. I just knew there'd be a plot twist. Thank goodness." Wang Zhejiang looked at the live comments, completely losing his temper. He actually pointed right at my face and yelled, "Uncle Shen, you can't just shirk responsibility. It was clearly Sister Youchu who toyed with his feelings and dumped him." He even shot my daughter a sickeningly affectionate look, making Shen Youchu squirm with absolute discomfort. My gaze instantly sharpened, glaring right at him. "Toyed with his feelings? My daughter hasn't so much as laid a finger on either of you brothers. You think you even have the right to throw that accusation around? By your twisted logic, if I take a second look at a random beggar on the street, does that mean I have to support him for the rest of his life?" I paused for a moment, my eyes locking onto him. And I said, word by word, "I know exactly who you are. The fake son the Wang family took in by mistake. Your birth mother, desperate for wealth and luxury, swapped you with her own hands. And looking at you now, it seems she succeeded." I rubbed my chin, pretending to think it over. Then, I acted like I just had an epiphany. "So, the reason you're jumping through all these hoops is because you're terrified of losing a lifetime of wealth. You're desperate to latch onto my daughter as your permanent meal ticket. Right?" Right after that, I dropped a massive bombshell. "So, you've known since you were a kid that you aren't the Wang family's biological son, haven't you?" Wang Zhejiang's pupils shrank in sheer panic. "You're talking nonsense," he yelled, but right next to him, Wang Baden whipped his head around, staring dead at him. "You knew, this whole time?" It all clicked for him in an instant. No wonder his adoptive mother never worked a day in her life, yet always had endless amounts of money to spend. It turns out, Wang Zhejiang was funding her all along. Countless childhood days and nights of being beaten relentlessly, violently intertwined with images of this other boy living a life of absolute luxury. Wang Baden's fury was practically boiling over. At that moment, of course, I noticed his rising emotions. And I didn't mind adding fuel to the fire. I suddenly turned to Wang Baden. "What exactly do you like about my daughter?" Wang Baden froze, thinking of the only girl who had ever shown him a shred of kindness. His raging anger subsided just a bit. At the family reunion banquet, everyone was laughing at me. She was the only one who stood up and taught those people a lesson. She is the only light in my life. But Shen Youchu just looked at him with a deeply complicated expression, and said bluntly, "That time, I wasn't actually trying to help you." The light in Wang Baden's eyes shattered instantly. Are you just saying that on purpose to get rid of me?" Shen Youchu answered even more decisively. No. Just that single word completely destroyed Wang Baden's entire belief system. Tears streamed down his face. He couldn't utter a single syllable. Whenever I think about the fact that he drugged my daughter, my heart absolutely twists in agony. So, I decided to twist the knife a little deeper. Well, it seems this was all just a huge misunderstanding. You don't actually love my daughter. You're just putting on a cheap, emotional performance. Trying to cash in for a massive emotional payoff. You have absolutely zero leverage. So you can only resort to this pathetic, self-victimizing act to beg for sympathy. Wang Baden just kept shaking his head, his face completely covered in tears. It's not like that, to be completely honest. As Shen Youchu's father, I really, truly despise him. But, as a reader of the original book, I actually felt a bit of sympathy. I looked at him, and my tone softened just a little bit without me even realizing. Your real grievance is that your biological parents don't care, and your adoptive parents don't either. So you try desperately to cling to someone, to prove you're worthy of being loved. But, you're putting your energy in the entirely wrong place. You should go scream at your parents. Go sue that human trafficker of an adoptive mother. Instead of harassing my daughter. Don't expect anyone else to save you. You have to be your own light. These were the words I've always wanted to say to the tragically abused male lead in the book. And right at that moment, the livestream absolutely exploded. A wealthy family's dark secret. Wait, Wang Zhijiang knew he wasn't their biological son all along? And that adoptive mother is a literal human trafficker? And the Wang family still paid her off? Isn't that literally encouraging a crime? Oh my god, I suddenly feel so bad for Wang Baden. His real parents don't even care about him. Even his perfect crush was a fake. The brother is totally right. You have to love yourself first. Boo hoo hoo. Right now, I am so jealous of Shen Youchu. How could someone have such an amazing dad? Li Shouying and Wang Gechang's faces instantly turned a sickly pale. They both snapped their heads around at the exact same time, staring at Wang Zhijiang in pure disbelief. This son they had doted on for so many years had actually been sneaking around behind their backs, sending money to his human trafficker of a biological mother. A blazing fury erupted in their chests. The raw hatred in their eyes was impossible to hide. Wang Zhijiang immediately realized something was horribly wrong. He quickly slapped the camera away, cutting off the live stream. With tears streaming down his face, he grabbed Wang Gechang's arm, whining like a spoiled child. Dad, please don't listen to them trying to stir up trouble. But before he could even finish his sentence, smack, Wang Gechang slapped him across the face, so hard it echoed. He roared like a madman, it was you. You knew everything all along. Wang Baden suddenly snapped out of his daze, too. His frail body suddenly erupted with terrifying strength. He grabbed Wang Zhijiang by the hair and viciously slammed his head into the floor. Every bit of hell I went through, it's your turn to choke on it. Wang Zhijiang's forehead instantly burst open with blood, and one of his teeth was completely knocked out. He looked absolutely pathetic. Wang Gechang was so terrified he stumbled backward, step after step. But Wang Baden's eyes gleamed with a feral light as he glared murderously at him. I actually used to beg for your affection. God, looking back now, I was such a moron. He lunged forward like an enraged beast. You don't even deserve to be my parents. Li Shouying rushed in to break up the fight, but Wang Baden, hardened by years of brutal manual labor, effortlessly shoved her away. All by himself, he forcefully beat all three of them into the dirt. I quietly took a half step back, seeing old Master C standing next to me, completely paralyzed with fear. I quietly stepped forward again, gently took his arm, and helped him back away with me. These old bones of his definitely shouldn't get caught in the crossfire. Once it looked like they had beaten each other to a pulp. I waved my hand at my bodyguards. Throw them all out. Yes, sir. Several bodyguards immediately stepped up, grabbed the members of the Wang family, and dragged them right out of the hospital room. But Wang Baden dodged the bodyguards. His clothes were completely torn to shreds, revealing a canvas of mottled, old scars underneath. Yet, his usually hollow eyes were shining with an astonishing brightness. He turned to me and gave a deep, solemn bow. Uncle Shen, I am so sorry, but also, thank you. Immediately after, he turned around and bowed deeply to my daughter, Shen Youchu. Full of sincerity, I am so sorry. I've caused you so much trouble in the past. I won't bother you ever again. I'll also clear up all the rumors online. With that said, he took wide strides and left the room. I finally let out a sigh of relief. I looked at the old lady on the hospital bed. How are you holding up? She shook her head. I'm fine. So, I turned to the old man. Mom's soft-hearted nature makes her an easy target. Dad, you need to keep a closer eye on her from now on. He instantly understood what I meant. He took a slow sip of tea to calm his nerves. I know. I'll assign a bodyguard to her from now on. Hearing this, I finally felt at ease, sitting back down on the sofa. I looked at the old man and asked, Are you still the one running the C group, Dad? He let out a heavy sigh. Then, he cast an envious glance at my daughter, Shen Youchu. That look practically screamed. If Youchu had the C surname, he would have retired ages ago. But I completely ignored his little scheme. I cut straight to the chase. What happened to the C family this time? We can't just let it slide. Simply cutting off business ties isn't enough. We need to bankrupt the Wang family outright. Oh, and they've been spreading rumors online, haven't they? Sue them immediately. Don't let a single one of them off the hook. At that moment, Shen Youchu immediately chimed in. Dad, leave all of this to me. But unexpectedly, the old lady actually hesitated. Isn't this a bit too ruthless? I didn't say a word. I just sat there, staring dead at her. In an instant, a cold chill ran down her spine. Trembling, she quickly changed her tune. Be bankrupt it is, then. Seeing this play out, the old man silently lowered his head. The corners of his mouth twitched upward into a subtle smirk. His stubborn wife feared absolutely nothing in this world, except for me, her son-in-law. After that, I told my daughter to head back to the office first. I, on the other hand, stayed behind a little longer. Picking up an orange, I peeled it with slow, deliberate movements. Feigning casualness, I spoke up. I heard Si Jiao Jiao went abroad. The old man's hand froze right as he was lifting his teacup. He shot a quick glance at me, but my hands didn't stop peeling. My voice remained completely flat, without a single ripple of emotion. Word has it, she had a baby with another man. The moment the words left my mouth, the old lady couldn't hold it in anymore. She scrambled to defend her daughter. Don't you listen to that outsider nonsense. That man is a scheming snake. He can't even hold a candle to you. Jiao Jiao has been missing you this whole time, but halfway through her sentence, she choked on her own words. After all, the existence of that illegitimate child was an undeniable fact staring us right in the face. Only then did I lift my head. I gave her a faint smile. We haven't seen each other in over a decade. It's completely natural that the feelings have faded. But we had a crystal clear agreement before we got married. The C family's company must go to my daughter. My tone left absolutely no room for negotiation. It was a strict notification. Old man Sis' heart dropped like a stone. He just knew it. He let out a defeated sigh. I know. But that kid, Shen Yu, she's simply not cut out for this kind of business. I lowered my gaze. There are still 3 missing children. I'll ride this wave of publicity and send out more people to track them down. I refuse to believe that not a single one of them is up to the task. I paused, my tone growing even colder. If they really can't handle it, we still have Youchu. With her skills, running 2 companies at once would be a piece of cake. That finally shut old Master C up. He could only pray in silence that those 3 missing granddaughters, missing for 18 years, would be found. Meanwhile, public opinion on the internet completely blew up. The Shen family's official clarification and Wang Baden's apology video shot the Shen group's official account straight to the #1 trending spot. Right while the whole internet was eating up the drama, Shen Youchu struck while the iron was hot. She suddenly posted a missing persons notice, and the C family immediately followed suit, sharing it right away, just like that. The whole internet remembered the 3 missing daughters of the C and Shen families from all those years ago, who were never found. The massive cash reward sent the entire internet into an absolute frenzy, and Shen Youchu was ruthless, completely destroying the Wang family's cash flow in just a matter of days. Li Shouying lost her mind. She slapped Wang Gechong right across the face. Didn't you say Shen Zihao would protect you? Where the hell is he? The Wang family is falling apart. Wang Gechong clutched his face, his eyes burning with pure hatred. It was Shen Zihao's idea. He was the one who told him to blow things out of proportion to force me into the marriage contract. How did it all go so wrong? But what made him truly despair was receiving the court summons. I was actually taking them to court. Trembling with rage, he immediately dialed Shen Zihao's number. Zihao, Shen Chen is trying to wipe us out. You have to help us. But on the other end of the line, Shen Zihao casually brushed him off. Oh, Gechong, you know I don't have any real power in the Shen family. My hands are tied on this one. Wang Gechong boiled with anger, but he had to play the victim. Zihao, you can't just leave us out to dry. We only pissed off Shen Chen because we listened to your advice. However, Shen Zihao's lazy drawl drifted through the speaker. Now, let's not twist the facts here. What do you mean, my advice? I had absolutely nothing to do with it. Wang Gechong absolutely lost it. He dropped the act entirely. Shen Zihao, aren't you afraid I'll spill everything to old Master Shen? To his shock, Shen Zihao just let out a soft chuckle, not giving a single damn. Do you have any proof? That one sentence completely shut Wang Gechong up. Before he could even process it, Shen Zihao hung up, listening to the dead dial tone. Wang Gechong's eyes filled with utter despair. He slumped heavily onto the couch, cursing under his breath. You bastards, you're all a bunch of scumbags. Finishing his rant, he smashed his phone viciously against the floor, the screen instantly shattering into a million pieces. While the Wang family was in absolute chaos, Wang Zhijiang actually tried to take the money and run. But he was caught red-handed by Wang Baden. The Wang Baden of today was no longer the helpless punching bag she used to be. His eyes were sharp, and with one swift motion, he threw Wang Zhijiang right back into the room. Where do you think you're going? There was absolutely no way he was going to give Wang Jijiang even a sliver of a chance to escape. This whole family needed to rot in the mud together. As for what happened next, the Wang family's ending was exactly what I had expected. Li Shouying and Wang Gechang, desperately trying to save their own skin, actually pin every single crime on their precious, most beloved son, Wang Jijiang. They sent him straight to prison. Meanwhile, their own company went bankrupt. They ended up drowning in massive debt, spending their days getting roughed up and their home smashed by debt collectors. It was a completely miserable state of affairs. On the other hand, Wang Ba-dan, because his residency was never officially transferred to the Wang family, he easily cut all ties with that bunch of rotten people. He took whatever little savings he had, and resolutely went abroad to further his studies. He went to chase his dream in design. Finding all of this out, I just smiled. Honestly, this was for the best. A few days later, I arranged to meet up with someone. Watching the middle-aged woman walk toward me, I stood up to greet her. Senior's sister. When Ning Shi saw me, a flash of surprise crossed her eyes. Junior brother? I gave a slight nod. It's me, Senior's sister. It's been a long time. She gave a warm smile and sat down right across from me. You're still as handsome as ever, Junior brother. You haven't changed one bit. I chuckled. You, on the other hand, seem a lot more at peace, Senior sister. Much softer, too. After some simple small talk, she handed me a tote bag. The professor went out of town for a conference. Take a look through these books and my notes first. If you have any questions, just reach out to me anytime. I carefully took the books from her. Thank you so much, Senior sister. Ning Shi smiled and waved it off. Oh, don't mention it. When the professor heard you were coming back, he reminded me over and over again that I absolutely must take good care of you. Hearing that, I was genuinely surprised. After all these years, the professor actually hasn't taken on any new students? Senior sister took a sip of her coffee and shook her head helplessly. Come on, you know how the professor's personality is. After having a student with such brilliant talent like you, how could anyone else ever catch his eye? As she spoke, her tone filled with deep regret. The professor always says what a shame it was about your talent. If that accident hadn't happened to you, your achievements today would definitely outshine mine. I winked at her playfully. Senior sister, being too modest is just a humble brag, you know. I've heard all about your big reputation. So many students are practically breaking their necks trying to get into your lab. Senior sister couldn't help but laugh at that. Oh, you're exactly the same as before. Always teasing me. Just then, her phone rang. After hanging up the call, an apologetic look crossed her face. I'm so sorry, Junior brother. There's a bit of an issue at the lab. I really have to go. Of course, I completely understood, nodding and telling her to go ahead and handle it. After Senior sister left, I sat there for just a little while longer. Then grabbed the books and caught a cab back to Genting Villa. But before I could even walk through the door, then I heard a loud, energetic voice from inside. Sis, where's this surprise you were talking about? I pushed the door open and walked in, only to see a young girl with blue-gray hair clinging to Shen Youchu, whining playfully. I've only been gone for a few days, and there's already this huge drama online. Come on, sis, tell me all about it. But Shen Youchu was completely distracted. Her eyes kept darting toward the door. Suddenly, she saw me, and her eyes instantly lit up. Dad, she cried, jumping to her feet. She quickly grabbed the bags from my hands, completely forgetting about her sister who was still clinging to her. Caught off guard, the girl named Shen Yu tumbled to the floor, smacking her head hard against the coffee table. She clutched her head, staring at me in absolute disbelief. She clearly hadn't heard what Shen Youchu just called me. You shoved me aside for someone else? As if she had just uncovered some shocking secret, she pointed right at me and demanded. Don't tell me you broke off the engagement with the Wang family, for this guy? Then, she started circling us, stroking her chin while sizing me up. Sis, that's really messed up. I mean, sure, this handsome guy is way better looking than those Wang brothers, but you still can't just be ungrateful. Suddenly, her eyes locked onto my face again. Weird, I feel like I've seen you somewhere before. In a rare moment of playfulness, Shen Youchu just pulled out her phone and opened the front camera. She shoved it right in Shen Yu's face. Take a good look at yourself. Now look at him. Figure out who he is yet. Shen Yu grabbed the phone. Her big, dark eyes darted back and forth, looking at me. Then looking at her own reflection on the screen. She was completely baffled, but after staring forever, she still couldn't put two and two together. I just stood there, letting them goof off, while my mind was racing, piecing together the memories that had just flooded my brain. It turns out my youngest daughter, Shen Yu, was nothing but a minor background character in this book, existing only in the female lead's memories. I could only scrape together a few scattered sentences about her from the hidden corners of the story. The main plot takes place in college, but right now, the female lead is only a senior in high school. The story hasn't even begun yet. All I knew was, the female lead grew up dirt poor, and her father was a scumbag gambler. He used to beat his wife. One time, when the debt collectors showed up at their door, my daughter, Shen Yu, brought people over to help, but in the chaos, her legs were brutally broken. As a result, the ever-proud daughter of the Shen family couldn't bear the reality of being confined to a wheelchair. And she actually took her own life. Thinking about this, I looked at my incredibly vibrant daughter standing right in front of me, my knuckles turning white as I clenched my fists. I would never let that tragedy happen again. My daughter deserves to live her life fierce and free. Looking at how spoiled she is now, unable to handle even the slightest setback, no wonder losing her legs would push her over the edge. So, I raised my hand and gave her a firm smack right on the forehead. You little brat, I'm your dad. Shen Yu instantly flared up like a furious little leopard. How dare you yell at me? And you're insulting my dad? Let me tell you something, even if you are my sister's boyfriend, you can't get away with that. Shen Youchu covered her face. This silly sister of hers. She quickly grabbed Shen Yu and tried to explain. This really is dad. Dad's come back. Just take a closer look. Shen Yu calmed down a little bit. When she was little, she and her sister used to visit me at the nursing home every week. She always thought I was some sort of sleeping prince. That was until I disappeared when she was 5. She cried so hard she nearly ended up in the ICU. Ever since then, to keep her from being too heartbroken, they hid all my photos and told her a little white lie, saying I was off saving the world. Now, she looked at Shen Youchu and asked hesitantly, is it really, Dad? Shen Youchu patiently explained, of course, you're the one who looks the most like him. Just look closely if you don't believe me. Shen Yu instantly shoved her face right up to mine. She was practically glued to my nose. I finally had enough. I pushed her forehead back with my index finger and called out her childhood nickname. Wan. Then, I leaned close to her ear, whispering like an absolute demon. You wouldn't want outsiders knowing where that nickname came from, now would you? Shen Yu instantly clutched her butt. She puffed up like an angry cat and yelled, what origin? Say it if you've got the guts. I smiled and dropped the bomb. You've got a little, curved crescent moon birthmark right on your butt. You peeked at my butt? I reached over and smacked her on the forehead again. I'm your dad, forget about your butt. I used to see you running around in split crotch pants. By now, Shen Yu was mostly convinced. But she still refused to admit defeat. Pointing at Shen Youchu, she challenged me. Oh yeah? Then do you know where my sister's nickname came from? I looked at Shen Youchu, unable to hold back my smirk anymore. Your sister's nickname is Tu Antoine. Since she was such a chubby little girl, I actually wanted to call her Dun. But that hurt her little feelings, so we changed it to Tu Antoine. I told her it meant family reunion, but what I was really thinking was that pinching her chubby cheeks felt just like squeezing dough. Before I even finished my sentence, Shen Yu's eyes lit up like fireworks. She tackled me in a massive hug and spun me around in pure joy. Dad, it really is you. You finally finished saving the world and came back to us. My head was spinning dizzily. I frantically patted her shoulder. Okay, put me down. She finally stopped, but those big, sparkling eyes were still locked onto me. Like she was terrified I'd vanish into thin air. My heart completely melted. I ruffled her blue hair and asked, what's this about saving the world? Shen Youchu couldn't hold back her laughter anymore. When she was little, she would always cry when you weren't around. So Mom fibbed and told her that you had to leave to save the world. I couldn't help but laugh, too. I immediately played along. Yep, I saved the world, and now I'm back. Shen Yu was so thrilled she practically jumped 3 feet in the air. The whole house was instantly filled with chaotic joy. Shen Youchu went to put her book back in the study. When she came downstairs, she saw Shen Yu clinging to my arm, acting all spoiled. Her footsteps froze on the stairs. Just as I thought. Does Dad like my little sister more, too? Meanwhile, I was just popping a grape into my mouth. As soon as I saw her, I waved. Tu Antoine, come here, quick. Have some fruit to hold you over. The smile instantly returned to Shen Youchu's face. Her steps even grew a bit lighter. Shen Yu popped a little orange wedge into my mouth, and then popped another one into her sister's. She tilted her head and asked, is it sweet? The sweet talk just rolled right off my tongue. So sweet, peeled by my little Wanwan's own hands. Of course it's sweet. Shen Yu beamed, happy as a clam. But the very next second, she put on a stern face and demanded, tell me the truth. Did you two sneak my snacks while I was gone? I immediately gasped in fake shock. The snacks you bought went missing? And right on cue. I whipped my head around and threw her sister right under the bus. How could you sneak your little sister's snacks while she wasn't home? Shen Youchu looked at me in utter disbelief. But, you're the one who ate them. She tried to defend herself. But the moment she met my threatening glare, all her fight instantly fizzled out. All that was left was a weak, defeated confession. Yeah, I ate them. Shen Yu instantly seized on the confession and squealed with excitement. Aha, I knew it. There was no way you'd pass up on snacks. You were just faking it all along. I can't believe you ate them behind my back. I smoothly jumped right onto the blame bandwagon. Yeah, Tu Antoine, how could you sneak her food? Your punishment is to buy your sister a few more bags of snacks to make up for it. Shen Yu lifted her chin, looking incredibly smug. Fine, for Dad's sake, I'll let it slide and forgive you, second sister. Shen Youchu was completely dumbfounded. In just a few words, she had been totally framed and convicted. The next day, I was in the study, eagerly devouring the book my senior gave me. I had already booked her lab, planning to head over and start testing my new ideas the moment I finished reading. I was already pretty familiar with the material, and with my senior's handwritten notes, I quickly lost myself in the pages. For the entire morning, I didn't take a single step out of the study. It wasn't until a soft knock-knock came from the door that I suddenly realized. It was already almost 11 o'clock. I rubbed my tired eyes and called out to the door, "Come in." A moment later, a fuzzy little blue-gray head poked through the doorway. The happy little camper from earlier was now looking completely deflated. Pouting, she whined, "Dad. You've been ignoring me all morning." She held up the mug in her hand and muttered, almost trying to comfort herself, "I brought you something to drink. Even though Dad doesn't care about me anymore, I still have to be his sweet little angel." I had to bite back a laugh. I closed my book and waved her over. Shen Yu's eyes instantly lit up, and she came happily trotting over. She flashed her little pointy canine tooth. I reached out and gave her cheek a good, affectionate squish, squishing her face right into a little pout. "Well then, my sweet little angel. How about you go shopping with Dad this afternoon?" She didn't struggle away. She just squatted down beside me, resting her chin on my knee, and answered in a super sticky, affectionate voice, "Okay. I'll even carry your bags for you." I finally let go of her squished cheek. I took the cup. "I remember you're starting school soon. Might as well go out today and see what you need." Who knew? Shen Yu completely froze. This fearless little miss of the C family was terrified of school, but she didn't dare say it to my face. That afternoon, Shen Yu turned into the perfect little bag carrier. She followed right behind me. This mall was the biggest in the city, and it had absolutely everything. I looked around. It was definitely way more luxurious than it was 10 years ago. First, we grabbed all of Shen Yu's school supplies. Then I bought a bunch of little knickknacks that caught my eye. Pretty soon, the bodyguards behind us were loaded down with shopping bags. I took one look at the incredibly tacky outfit my daughter was wearing and waved my hand. "Come on, let's hit the clothing section. We're getting new clothes for you and your sister. Your outfit is way too childish. And your sister's is way too old-fashioned. We're doing a total wardrobe update today." I twirled the unlimited black card in my hand, feeling like an absolute boss. Shen Yu was green with envy. She recognized instantly that it was my sister's card. She wanted one so bad. We strolled into a super high-end women's boutique, and a salesgirl instantly rushed over. "Welcome in." I gave a little nod. Scanning the store, "I'm here to pick out some clothes for my daughter. Could you recommend a few things?" The salesgirl's eyes shifted over to Shen Yu. Her mouth slowly dropped into an O shape. A grown girl, about 5'7", carrying a men's briefcase. She looked at least 20. Meanwhile, I look early 20s at most. She asked hesitantly, "This is your daughter?" I nodded. "Yep." The salesgirl's eyes practically popped out of her head. She had to convince herself. Maybe he's a stepdad? Rich old ladies marrying young trophy husbands isn't that uncommon, right? But a second later, she scrapped that idea. The two of us looked way too similar. We were definitely blood-related. Finally, she swallowed her gossip and started professionally showing us around. My eyes lit up more and more as I looked at all the trendy new styles. I held a cream-colored hoodie up against her. "Hey, sweetie, go try this on and see how it looks." Shen Yu stared at the goofy little bear printed on the shirt. Her face fell. She was completely speechless. Who was the childish one here? But she didn't say no. She quickly grabbed the clothes and went into the fitting room. When she came back out, Shen Yu tilted her head at me, her voice super sweet and clingy. "Daddy, does it look pretty?" I whipped out my phone and snapped a quick picture. "Of course it does. You inherited my gorgeous looks. You should be counting your blessings." Shen Yu played right along, striking a pose and proudly flipping her hair. "Duh, I look in the mirror every day and get dizzy from my own beauty." I couldn't hold back a laugh. "Well, since it looks so good, we'll take it." "Oh, right. Grab two of them. You and your sister are the exact same size." Shen Yu froze for a second, then immediately pictured her sister wearing a silly, cute little bear hoodie, bossing people around at the company with a deadpan face. She burst out laughing. No. My sister and I are all grown up now. We don't need matching clothes anymore." I raised an eyebrow at her. Back in the day, those two sisters wanted everything to be exactly the same: clothes, toys, candy. They even pointed at the mirror once and asked why their faces didn't match. It almost gave me childhood trauma. Shen Yu clearly remembered this dark past, too. Her cheeks turned bright red, and she playfully lunged at me. "Dad, stop thinking about it." I stopped teasing her and shoved the pile of clothes I had picked out right into her arms. "Go try these on, too." Shen Yu looked at the pile. There's way too many. Just have a model try them on for me. I put on a pout and teased, but I just want to see my darling daughter wear them. The word, darling, completely won her over. She gleefully hugged the clothes to her chest. I'll do it. How could anyone else do justice to these fabulous outfits? And so, for the rest of the time, I just sat back in a chair, snacking away. We spent the whole afternoon browsing through several stores. I didn't just buy things for her. I also picked out quite a few pieces for Shen Youchu, who was stuck at work. I felt like a country bumpkin in the big city, marveling at absolutely everything. Sweetie, look, there's a claw machine over there. I really want that little bunny. Shen Yu patted her chest confidently. I'll win it for you. She strutted over with the most arrogant swagger imaginable, marching up to the claw machine. But in the end, she didn't catch a single thing. She stomped her foot in frustration. This stupid machine. The claw is way too loose. It's a total scam. I found it amusing, so I dropped a few coins in myself. Not long after, I was hugging the little plush bunny and laughing out loud. Ha ha ha, I got it. Shen Yu looked completely defeated. How is that even possible? I hugged the bunny, looking at her with playful disdain. It's all about technique. You slacker. I bet you never pay attention in school. She instantly deflated. How on earth did Dad know she slacked off in class? Her sister must have snitched. After playing around for so long, I was starting to feel pretty exhausted. My ankles were sore and aching. Shen Yu was completely wiped out, too. She glanced down at the leather shoes on my feet, and quickly led me over to a nearby bubble tea shop. Come on, Dad, let's go grab some boba. We can take a nice break there. I let her pull me along, sitting down at a table and rubbing my sore ankles. A minute later, Shen Yu hurried back, clutching 2 cups of pearl milk tea with the straws already popped in. Dad, try it. Is it good? I took a sip, and felt instantly revived. Delicious. She beamed with joy and started happily slurping away at her own cup, bobbing her head to a little beat. I glanced at my phone. It was almost 5 o'clock. Your sister's getting off work soon. Let's call her over in a bit. We'll just eat out tonight. I saw a ton of restaurants outside earlier. What are you in the mood for? Shen Yu instantly grabbed my arm. She started acting all cute and whined. I want hot pot, barbecue, Japanese food, French food. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse right now. I want to eat it all. I couldn't help but laugh.